All the Dharma masters and lotus friends, Namo Amituofo. Someone asked Master Jingzong the following question. May I seek your advice regarding the issue of euthanasia? If a practitioner of Amitabha-recitation develops a terminal illness with great suffering, would it be acceptable to seek euthanasia in a country where it is legal, like Switzerland? A related question concerns elderly parents with incurable conditions who have lost the ability to communicate. If they never left any instructions, would it be appropriate for children to discontinue life support to ease their suffering? What karma would such actions create? Here's Master Jingzong's reply. You have raised a rather sensitive issue. While euthanasia or mercy killing may arise from compassionate intentions to end suffering and preserve dignity, we must examine it carefully from the Dharma's perspective. The Buddhist perspective offers a deeper understanding of life, death, and suffering. The underlying premise is that when someone faces an incurable illness with unbearable suffering, a painless death through medical means might seem merciful. However, that view doesn't fully reflect the profound nature and deeper meaning of life. Even what appears to be a painless death may have serious karmic implications. The Buddha's teachings don't support euthanasia. Whether self administered or assisted, it's still considered taking life. Buddhist teaching looks at it this way. Euthanasia doesn't resolve our fundamental predicament. Our entire life, including our final moments, reflects the accumulated effects of our own karma. Life isn't limited to just this existence. It's an endless continuity, with each lifetime manifesting its own karmic patterns. Everyone faces difficulties at life's end, and terminal illness brings immense suffering to both the individual and family. Since these circumstances arise from karma, the solution lies in eliminating the karmic obstacles. When we do so, a peaceful passing will naturally follow. The Buddha's understanding of life and death is perceptive, offering us systematic ways to work with these issues. For instance, the Pure Land School assists those who are near the end of their lives through reciting Namo Amituofo. This helps eliminate the karmic obstacles of the dying, preparing them for rebirth in the Pure Land as they are received by Amitabha Buddha and his sacred assembly of bodhisattvas. This is the true peaceful passing, rebirth in the land of ultimate bliss, joyfully following the Buddha's guidance. Using artificial means like a lethal injection might seem helpful to those who choose euthanasia as a way to end suffering. But if this life's karma remains unresolved, it carries forward to future lives. It disrupts life's natural flow, affecting the quality of future rebirths. Therefore, letting things take their natural course, accepting and working with what comes is the most effective and reasonable way to eliminate negative karma. It allows life to transition naturally. We shouldn't take shortcuts or look for easy ways with death. If we do that, would we be tempted to take shortcuts with every aspect of life? Death is a crucial milestone in our journey. And just as we shouldn't try to cut corners in our daily lives, how can we justify taking shortcuts at life's final threshold? Consider how doctors treat illness. They work with our body's natural healing abilities, supporting these innate functions while using medicine as an aid to healing. From the Dharma's profound perspective, our fundamental nature is Buddha nature. Doing things that align with this nature leads to genuine prosperity and peace in life. Reciting Amitabha's name is exactly the practice that aligns with our innate Buddha nature of infinite light and life, enabling karmic elimination and attainment of true peace. Artificial interventions deviate from both Buddha nature and the law of cause and effect. Consider someone in debt. Would burning the debt records solve anything? It might even create more problems and end up in legal lawsuits. Similarly, trying to escape life's karmic manifestations through euthanasia is like burning these karmic records. It doesn't work that way. I say this to the general audience. To Amitabha recitals who have faith in the Buddha Dharma, my advice is to be more patient. You should know better regarding the meaning of life and the law of karma. Think of the people we have wronged and be repentant. Embrace all of life's hardship with grace. Recite Amitabha's name with inner peace and equanimity. Trust in Amitabha Buddha's deliverance. Some may say they are at the end of their tether and can't take the suffering any longer, even though they practice Amitabha-recitation with firm faith and aspiration. Whatever actions they might consider taking are their personal choice. However, even if someone chooses an extreme path, it shouldn't be publicized or promoted. While the way in which individuals handle their situations is their private matter. Buddhism as a whole does not endorse euthanasia, nor believe it achieves any useful purpose. The best way is to recite Amitabha's name, going along with life's natural development, and relying on the Buddha's deliverance. The same principle also applies to animals. While euthanizing animals might seem less serious, it is still inappropriate. If an animal is suffering, recite Amitabha's name for it and allow its life to follow its natural course. The above is Master Jingzong's response to the subject of euthanasia. The article is translated by the Pure Land School translation team and edited by householder Fuji. Now, Jingchen would like to share the story of my dog, Fuji's rebirth. Fuji was an exceptionally adorable, lovable, and extremely intelligent Shiba Inu. When she was only 1 year old, her original owner decided to give her up for adoption. At the time, Jingchen was still living in New York City. A friend told me, "There's a dog being given away, and she's very special. She will suit you perfectly. You should adopt her." At first, Jingchen firmly refused. However, this friend still brought the Shiba Inu to my home. Fuji gazed at Jingchen with her large, pretty eyes as though pleading to be taken in. There must have been a deep karmic affinity between us, for Jingchen ultimately decided to accept her. Since Fuji was a Japanese breed and possessed a strong, dignified appearance reminiscent of Mount Fuji, Jingchen named her Fuji. Like all sentient beings, Fuji carried many habits like human and also experienced the result of both good and negative karma. Besides receiving endless affection, Fuji even traveled with Jingchen to Cambodia. We lived there for 3 years, giving Fuji the rare opportunity to experience life and culture in another part of the world. These blessings reflected the result of her positive karma. At the same time, Fuji also bore significant karmic suffering. For example, she had suffered from chronic epilepsy since birth. She would experience seizures every few months. During these episodes, she would collapse onto the floor, her eyes rolling upward as her entire body trembled uncontrollably, leaving her unable to move. Watching her suffer was heartbreaking. Jingchen would often tell her, "Recite the Buddha's name with us and seek rebirth in Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land. Only then can you escape samsara and be free from this suffering body." During the pandemic, we began having online Buddha name recitation sessions. Fuji would lie quietly in her bed beside the Buddha altar and listen to our recitation every evening. According to animal experts, a dog's intelligence is comparable to that of a 2 to 2.5-year-old child, and dogs are capable of learning up to 165 words. For this reason, learning the 6-character name, Namo Amituofo, posed no difficulty for Fuji. Dogs are also known to retain long-term memory. Fuji lived a simple and contented life. Unlike many dogs, she never craved food excessively. Every day, Jingchen's mother, Sister Peng, lovingly prepared Fuji's meals from scratch in the kitchen. Ordinary canned dog food just wasn't good enough for Fuji. Even at 16 years old, Fuji remained relatively healthy, though she moved much more slower. She could still walk into the garden on her own to relieve herself, but otherwise spent most of her time resting in bed. At this advanced age, Fuji could pass at any time. Therefore, Jingchen placed a recitation device beside her bed so she could hear the chanting at any time. Hope that her transition to her next life would be peaceful and rebirth to the Pure Land is assured. One evening in early April of last year, Fuji ate dinner as usual and returned to her bed to rest. Sometime after midnight, she suddenly began struggling to breathe and cried out in distress. Realizing that her life was nearing its end, Jingchen continuously encouraged Fuji to recite the Buddha's name together with us. I reminded Fuji that when Amitabha Buddha appeared, she should follow Amitabha Buddha to the Pure Land and not to remain emotionally attached to us. At around 4 o'clock in the morning, Fuji peacefully passed away at the age of 17. When Fuji passed, her eyes remained open. Jingchen covered her body with a blanket, and together with Sister Peng, took turns reciting the Buddha's name for the next 8 hours. Throughout the recitation, Jingchen repeatedly reminded Fuji to follow the sound of the Buddha's name. When Amitabha Buddha appears, follow him and take rebirth in the land of ultimate bliss. After the recitation concluded, Jingchen contacted a pet funeral service to arrange for Fuji's cremation. When the staff arrived and gently lifted the blanket to examine Fuji, we discovered that Fuji's eye had naturally closed, as though she was peacefully asleep. On the third evening after Fuji's passing, Jingchen reminded Sister Peng to invite Fuji to join our group recitation. Knowing the close bond they had shared, before the evening session began, Sister Peng followed Jingchen's suggestion and murmured some word in front of the altar, so as to invite Fuji to come and recite together with us. Just moments before the first prostration, Sister Peng suddenly heard movement coming from a sofa behind her, as though a dog had stood up. To her astonishment, she saw Fuji leap down from the sofa and ran directly to the front of the altar. Facing the Buddha image, Fuji lowered herself to the floor and bowed reverently before the Buddha. Sister Peng described Fuji's entire body as glowing. Her furs are golden in color and radiating brilliant light. When everyone rose from the first prostration, Fuji had already disappeared. This extraordinary occurrence suggested that Fuji had seen Amitabha Buddha, lit before the Buddha's radiant light, and attained rebirth in the Pure Land. In the United States, euthanasia is very prevalent among pet owners. They choose euthanasia when their cats or dogs develop incurable illnesses because they cannot bear to watch them suffer, although the karmic consequences may be lighter than other forms of killing. Karma, nevertheless, remains. Pets bring joy, companionship, and unconditional love into our lives. They quietly listen when we share our worries and remain loyally by our side. Beyond simply pampering them, perhaps the greatest gift we can offer them is to teach them to recite the Buddha's name and aspire toward rebirth in the Pure Land, allowing them to transcend the suffering of the 6 realms. Because Fuji regularly listened to the Buddha's name, she did not endure severe suffering at the end of her life. Fuji didn't need mercy killing at the end of her life. Instead, she relied on the compassionate vows of Amitabha Buddha and peacefully attained rebirth in the land of ultimate bliss. Euthanasia cannot compare with practicing Buddha recitation. It brings peace to the body and mind, and at life's end leads to rebirth in the land of peace and joy. Namo Amituofo.